and pull up alongside one of these little tiny 2024 Cadillacs, right? Because as things begin to be refined, right, that means that it's made smaller in size, less space, it's compartmentalized more information into a smaller data enclosure. By expanding the bandwidth of the smaller data enclosure, it can produce the same frequencies that you needed 13 strands in the early stages of genetic creation.
Mm.
The human DNA was a unique DNA,
Mm.
right? They don't never tell you that they started out originally as a 24 strand. That's why you don't know that the 12 strand is only half of it. Which when there was 24 strands, a 12 strand would have only been an RNA chain.
Mm.
But now, as time went on, you don't need all of that dead excess stuff. You want to make it more efficiency to defy entropy. Think about that.
Mm.
What's the remedy for entropy? Everything has to have equal input, equal output.
Balance.
Yeah. That's no entropy. That's no agent at that point. You done turned all of the deteriorating factors are now turned off because there's no entropy.
Mm.
This is what creates the time phenomenon. And it also is a contributing factor to them explaining to you that Chronos eats his children,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because he's eternal. They not. They reincarnate. So it looked like he keep eating them over and over and spitting them back out. But it's the same child. He just grew old through his levels, and then he left the avatar to reincarnate into a different avatar. When we used to do debates, I used to tell dudes I don't debate uh um reincarnation because I'm biased. I'm automatically biased to the subject. They said, "Well, why you say that?" I said, "Because I can remember too many past lives."
Mm. Matter of fact, since we on that, how do you tap into that? Because just based upon my own personal experiences, uh, it be some of the same dreams that I had like since I was younger. Like I have a dream that I got shot, and it'd be the same dream over and over. I got shot and I hide underneath the car, and I'm thinking like, is this something that you know? Is
Did
this a
you know
pattern?
what age you was in the dream?
No, I was an adult, but I had it. I had this a dream. Had this dream since I was like 5 years old.
Right. When you was 5 years old, did you see yourself as a 5 year old, and then when you became an adult, you have the dream you an adult?
No, it was just I was an adult the whole time. Like I was,
Okay.
I knew it, I knew it, when I was 5. I knew it was me as an adult, and then I just had the same dream.
The reason I asked that question is because reoccurring dreams is your guidepost to something to look for to either go into or to avoid
Hmm.
from a past life. It's a certain. That's why I asked you if you was a child and when you was dreaming as a child and adult, because then it would have been a message that you carried through your life. But since you was an adult when you was dreaming it as a child, that means that it's something that when you grow up, an event, a powerful event, is going to transpire. Right? The event don't necessarily have to be the gunshot, but your
Right.
subconscious memory is tied into your personal akashic record, which goes back to your first spark.
Hmm.
So everything you ever experienced, your subconscious is now going to use this to educate you and to give you, if you see it, you'll remember what you don't remember in your book of life for this life.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll know how to move. So at certain intervals, the dream might come up to make you make a different choice to avoid the eventuality of the dream manifestation.
Hmm.
right? So you telling yourself, remember this, whatever you do. But in the 3D, if you don't know what your book of life is, you won't know why you told yourself in the past life to use that to alert you.
Hmm. And you know what's crazy about that? Where the area where I got shot at, there's like a little hole right there, but it looks like a extra like small. It looks like a mole, but the area where I got shot at in the dream, that's where it's at.
Hmm. This,
Weird.
this probably actually happened in the past life,
Yeah, that's
and
why I was
you using it in this life as a navigational tool, a divination instrument.
like,
So there's something that you're about to do that triggers the dream, and if you want the right outcome, then the dream served its purpose until you get to the next part where the dream come back again because you're about
mm,
to make a major decision.
mm,
The impact of the gunshot in the wound is means to be hit with extreme power. So you could be telling yourself you leveling up, or you should be telling yourself you finna meet somebody else that leveled up. Depend on how you perceive in the dream in the event. Because you probably didn't seen it from multiple angles during the course of this lifetime when you dream about it. But it's the same dream.
mm. Man,
So
that's
you was
deep.
telling yourself you was using it. So I always call those ancestors smart as hell because I was too dumb to leave me clues. I didn't start seeing my clues till I was old as hell.
Mm.
But I knew what was wrong. I knew what the problem was. But I didn't know like what I was supposed to do about it or none of that. But
You
as
know,
I got older, then I started dropping me clues. And that's when I started realizing, hold up, something going on here.
mm, hold on, let me see. There was another question that came up.
This one up there now, do we all come from the Olmecs or is that relating to a small group of people?
I can interject on this as well. I know when you talking about Pangea way before the continental drift, a good majority of us we came from West Africa and we migrated to the Americas, but North and South Exum, when you study like the great majority of the Moorish doctrine and the paradigm, it tells you basically like North and South Exum is actually America. So Pangea all in one is, basically, uh, America essentially.
And Mexican, where Mexico come from.
Right.
It's a shortened version. But the Olmec people is the same people as the Inca and the Maya.
Facts.
They just different time frames, different family groups. When you got two chiefs that don't see eye to eye and they can't get along, Big Mama separate them. When she separate them, they go settle in a different part of the land, and she give them their boundaries. This is how you get a territory, right? Now, these people that's Olmecs is the same people as the Inca, the Maya, the Mississippians.
Facts.
They trace these people go all the way into the Amazon basin.
What are you talking
But
about?
we use the word chief because everybody familiar with them referring to our leaders as chief. And every motherfucker they dressed up to look like us and put feathers on, then they call chief too.
And how do practitioners of blood magic process heinous acts? Do they truly see it as like a charging battery, just energy and numb all too else?
They borderline psychopath, sociopath with
Mm,
just enough normal to function in society. The influence of the constant bloodletting, it numbs them to the victim. They will be have an emotional breakdown about their cat, but the
Hmm.
kid that they sacrificing, it will trigger no emotion. They mama, their sister, or their brother might die, and they might have genuine emotional breakdown. But they victim won't trigger that.
Hmm.
This why it's like border path, sociopath, psychopath,
Hmm.
right? People be using the term narcissist too freely. Narcissist is so rare that they create stories around them because that's how rare they are, right? And this is why they even have a myth called the narcissist. Now remember, all of their psychological scripts came from Greek mythology.
Facts.
That means that they're enforced through something called pharmakia.
Magic.
And pharmakia is what? Sorcery
Mm-hmm.
or pharmacy. Would you want to translate it or transliterate it? Right? So when they using those um, methods, they also narcotizing the person that they have do the actual bloodletting. And the blood is going to also narcotize them if they got any good.
Mm.
So they just become numb to the victim, but they functional everywhere else, or appears functional everywhere else. The ones that can't take it, because they fall into the bottle. Very few of them turn into crack addicts.
Mm-hmm.
Very few of them turn into heroin addicts. Most of them go into the bottle because alcohol
Mm-hmm.
is the spirit that's responsible to take care of the ones that did the dirt that they can't function with. That's its spiritual function to console those who fall into the darkness. So
Mm.
what do? Smash them with some alcohol. And then you can use that because in that drunken state, they can't lie because the
Right.
processor turned off. And then you slap their ass on drink tramps and gradually get them drunk, asking harder questions as you go on.
Yep.
This is a cultural phenomenon that's only native to here.
Mm.
We didn't generally drink. And our elders knew that certain elders, what they call the alcohol chiefs, using modern linguistics,
Mm.
they are the drink champs.
Mm.
They the ones who sit around and drink and talk all day and go over the histories and correct the stories while they drinking, but they don't never get drunk. So when your child come in there lying and they
My.
sit him in front of the drink champs, he's gonna eventually get sloppy and tell the whole goddamn truth.
Yep.
And, and that's where you get that tagline, a drunk man speaks a sober mind. That comes from the original tribal drink. Them boys they reenacted our original culture on
Mm.
drink champs. You get them a little drunk, they can't hide their feelings. If they want to call you the N word, it's gonna come out.
Right.
But if their heart is pure, it can't come out when they drunk like that. If they don't feel that way, they gotta actually feel that way for it to come out. And that's why the politicians used to get drunk in secret because they
Mm.
couldn't say the stuff out loud for the people to hear it. And
Mm.
somebody invented something called a microphone and a recorder. And then they created these things called spies. And then they start understanding the leverage of blackmail. Then they start understanding the power of a blackball. You will never make another dollar in this town, buddy. You've been blackballed by the black hand,
Yep.
walking around like a black man all the time he called himself white.
Yep.
The story is in the riddles is in the rhymes came through from rapping and tapping. Rapping and tapping is the knockback to the knock from the spiritualists in the 1900s to pass the message through the musicians in the 2020 in the 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
So over the course of the development of rapping and tapping, you got from like 1830 to like 1930 was his hey. And hip hop started in the 1970s, and we in the 2020s now.
Right.
So we into the thick of recovering using the music, recovering the rapping and tapping stories that the spiritualists put on the wire back in the early 1900s, late 1800s. But if you don't know what you're listening for, you can't crack the code, right? So when you realize that it's about the union of divine masculine, divine feminine, now you look at all of these people different from a historical perspective, from an unbiased view. And this is why Noble Drew Ali say, listen to the European and make them tell you the truth. But half them niggas was passing.
Mm-hmm.
And we thinking they Europeans. And they
Right.
working for some Negroes that's darker than us called the Black Hand, the Black Brotherhood of Spain, the KKK,
Mm.
right? The Scottish Rite, the Skull and Bones Society of the pirates. And the pirates came to loot the land in search of the city of Cordoba. And Cordoba mean gold in Spanish, which tells us that the people looking for Cordoba had to be conquistadors, the conquering Tudor families,
Mm-hmm.
who was being in exile because they lost the war in Europe in the French Revolution, the Spanish Inquisition, and the Pope gave them the discovery right. The way to redeem all this is by capturing the foundational document. As we systematically unraveled a system by capturing the foundational documents, we liberating the people, but at the same time, the people got to be properly prepared to receive the redemption that's coming. They got to know that let them people fight for reparations because the system is already gone, so they just talking to themselves. There's nobody in DC to pay them nothing.
Mm-hmm.
America is dead. Just a new sheriff in town. They called him Chief Pontiac. I'm not playing by none of their rules. Everything by tribal rules. And tribal rules is grandfathered in before their first constitution. Before Columbus ever sailed, the oral tradition of redeeming the land has been passed down from generation to generation. It became autonomic. Now all I have to do is read it, and the people begin to see what I'm saying as we put it together. They brain put it together holographically.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they call um, feeding them light codes, codes to unlock the inner light. This is what Malachi was teaching us, right? So Malachi, High Priest Melchizedek,
Mm.
was teaching us about how to teach the light codes to the ones that come after us. But you can't teach it till you understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Once you understand it, and then you know how to flip they codes into the public domain for more people to perceive it and unlock it in their own mind just by what you show them. They don't have to believe you, but the higher self know the truth. So he gonna override your ego self when he get enough truth. Your ego self gonna be like, man, I'm always bullying me. But your higher self gonna be telling your ego self, get your punk ass out the way, man. Don't you see you giving me what I need to wake up?
Right.
And by the time your higher self get done whooping your ego self pillar to post, I bet you have a purified ego, and your shadow work would have made it a little bit easier.
Self-realization. Self-realization.
I said, what is the correlation between the next election, Project 2025, and Supreme Court stating that administrative courts are non-constitutional? It's the fall of America.
Yeah, I did a
It's
whole video about Project
yeah.
2025.
Yeah, but the real Project 2025 is Mardi Gras coast to coast. Because we won, they lost. Now they butthurt. It's too bad. Just don't come to the family dinner with that BS because we just needed an excuse to cut your throat anyway for what you did to us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we ain't asking for permission. We don't need no excuses to exercise our sovereign right to do what's right. That's it. And everything has been recovered. The next election, I don't think is going to take place. Okay, when the last time y'all seen Joe Biden? The last time I seen him, he went from 6'2" to 6'8", and then he disappeared again.
Yeah.
Kamala about to drop out, right?
Why you think she dropped? Why is that?
Because she got too much Haktua in her blood. It's symbolism. First,
Right.
she wanna because Biden they're gonna have to announce that he dead or that they stepped down or something, and then she's gonna have to assume his responsibilities.
Right.
Which is gonna interrupt her campaign capability.